Book 7 of the Nicomachean Ethics. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. The Nicomachean Ethics by Aristotle. Translated by Thomas Taylor. Chapter 1. After these things, making another beginning, it must be observed by us, that there are three species of things which are to be avoided in manners, viz. Vice, incontinence, and brutality. But the contraries to two of these are indeed evident. For we call one of the contraries virtue, and the other continence. To brutality, however, it will be most appropriate to say, that the virtue is opposed, which is a certain heroical and divine virtue, as Homer represents Priam saying of Hector that he was a very good man. Wretch that I am, my bravest offspring slain, you the disgrace of Priam's house remain. Mestor the brave, renowned in ranks of war, with Troilus, dreadful in his rushing car. And last, great Hector, more than man divine, for sure he seemed not of terrestrial line. Hence, if, as it is said, men from being men become gods through excess of virtue, the habit which is opposed to a brutal habit will indeed be such as this. For as there is neither the vice nor virtue of a brute, so neither is there of a god, but the one habit indeed is more honourable than virtue, and the other is of a different genus from vice. Since, however, the existence of a divine man is rare, (just as the Lacedaemonians, when they very much admire a man, are accustomed to say, O divine man,) thus also the brutal nature is rare among men, but when it does exist, it is principally found among the barbarians. Some men, however, become brutalized through diseases and mutilations of the body. And we thus denominate, by a defamatory appellation, those who surpass other men in vice. But of such a disposition of the soul as this, we shall hereafter make mention. And we have before spoken concerning vice. Let us now, therefore, speak concerning incontinence, and effeminacy, and luxury, and concerning their opposites, continence and endurance. For each of these must not be considered as if they were the same habits with virtue and vice, nor yet as if they were of a genus different from them. It is necessary, however, as we have done in other things, having first premised what is apparent, i.e. what is commonly admitted as true, and proposed doubts, in the next place to show every thing which is especially probable about these passions, but if not every thing, at least the greater part, and the principal. For if such doubts as are difficult are dissolved, and those things which are probable are left, we shall have sufficiently accomplished our purpose. Continence, therefore, and endurance appear to be among the number of worthy and laudable things, but incontinence and effeminacy among the number of things bad and blameable. And the continent man, and he who abides in the decision of reason, are the same person. And the incontinent man is the same with him who departs from the decision of reason. And the incontinent man, indeed, knowing that the things are bad, does them through passion, but the continent man, knowing that desires are bad, does not follow them, in consequence of being obedient to reason. And all men, indeed, admit that the temperate man is continent, and possesses the virtue of endurance. But with respect to a man of this description, some say that he is in every respect temperate, but others say that he is not. And some confusedly say that the intemperate man is incontinent, and the incontinent man is intemperate, but others say that they differ from each other. But with respect to the prudent man, sometimes they say that he cannot be incontinent, and sometimes that certain persons who are prudent and skilful are incontinent. And farther still, men are said to be incontinent of anger, of honour, and of gain. Such, therefore, are the assertions concerning continence and incontinence. CHAPTER 2. It may, however, be doubted how he who thinks rightly can act incontinently. Some say, therefore, that it is impossible for a man to act incontinently who knows that he ought not. For it would be a dreadful thing, when science is inherent, as Socrates thought, that any thing else should have dominion, and draw the man about like a slave. For Socrates, in short, opposed reason by this opinion, as if there were no such thing as incontinence, since he said that no one acted contrary to what he apprehended it was best to do, except from ignorance of what was best. This assertion, therefore, is adverse to those things which are clearly apparent, and it is requisite to inquire concerning the passion, if any one acts incontinently through ignorance, what the mode of this ignorance is. For it is evident that he who acts incontinently does not think he ought so to act, till he is under the influence of the passion. There are, however, certain persons who admit some of these things, but not others. For they grant, indeed, that nothing is better than science, but they do not admit that no one acts contrary to what appears to him to be better. And on this account they say, that the incontinent man, not having science, but opinion, is vanquished by pleasures. If, however, it is opinion, and neither science, nor a strong, but a weak hypolepsis which resists, as it is in those who are dubious, pardon is to be granted to him who yields to strong desires. But improbity is not to be pardoned, nor any thing else which is blamable. The incontinent man, therefore, is vanquished by desire, prudence at the same time resisting, for this is most strong. But this is absurd, for the same person will be, at the same time, prudent and incontinent. No one, however, will say that it is the province of a prudent man to perform voluntarily the most base actions. To which may be added, what we have before shown, that the prudent is a practical man, for he is conversant with particulars, and possesses the other virtues. Again, if the continent man consists in having strong and base desires, the temperate man will not be a continent man, nor the continent a temperate man. For it is not the province of the temperate man to have too much desire, or to have base desires, but it would be requisite that he should, if this were admitted. For if, indeed, the desires are good, the habit which prevents a man from following them is bad, so that not all continence will be good. If, however, the desires are weak, but not bad, there is nothing venerable in continence, and if they are bad and weak, there is nothing great in it. Farther still, if continence gives permanency to every opinion, and even to false opinion, it is a bad thing. And if incontinence produces a departure from every opinion, there will be a certain incontinence which is good, such as that of Neoptolemus in the Philoctetes of Sophocles. For he is to be praised for not persevering in what he was persuaded to do by Ulysses, because it was painful to him to lie. Again, that reasoning of the sophists, which is denominated lying, or dissembling, is perplexed with doubt. For with these men, in consequence of wishing to produce an assent to paradoxes, in order that, when they obtain their end, they may appear to be skilful persons, the syllogism formed by their reasoning becomes very dubious. For the discursive energy of reason is bound, when the person whose assent they wish to procure is unwilling to persist, because the conclusion does not please him, but is unable to proceed because he cannot dissolve the argument. From a certain reason, however, it may happen that imprudence, together with incontinence, is a virtue. For a man, through incontinence, may do the contrary to what he apprehends ought to be done. But he apprehends that good things are evil, and that they ought not to be done. Hence, he will do what is good, and not what is evil. Again, he who performs and pursues what is delectable, in consequence of being persuaded, and deliberately choosing so to do, will appear to be a better character than the man who does so, not from reasoning,